I could give you 4 degrees upright and 4 degrees flat, and you'll find a way to make them both return pretty flush, because you'll make 2 completely different swings. One of those swings in the long run will be more optimal than the other, and that's what we'll test is to find out. We've got to understand this from what it's going to do to the swing versus what the swing's doing right now. Well, let's run through as we would. What I am going to do is I'm going to use your same shaft right now that you're used to for the lie test.
105.
Yeah, so that's...
Is it standard?
Full lie test, it isn't just going and bending your clubs every day. Which is how we started. That's why we built it the way we did, yeah. So you're going to hit half a dozen shots with each one. I'm going to move you around. Move you to 2 extremes in lie angle. We're going to find out which one you're more biased to, which one matches how you're built to swing.
I like what you said
and then
to me
dial
about,
it in.
Like, when you said it was like 3 uprights, not that upright after you've tried 7 upright.
Yeah, you have to go through a full range, yeah.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to go through a full range and find out what works. And you play flat for a long time, right?
Yeah. Oh,
and would you say you've been on the overside or the underside your whole life?
Under being right?
No, over swing direction, so overlay or underlay.
Yeah, over.
You've always been over, yeah. So a lie angle that's quite a bit flatter than what you need will start pushing the swing direction over, and then if it goes too far over, you're going to spend the rest of the swing trying to go back the other way.
Crazy, isn't it?
To get it back to 0. So if I transition, set up for a flatter lie angle, I'll show you an example. So imagine this was flat. Radius is going to go further away from me. If I want to get the club head out to there, but I want to get my hands back down to where they started for the flatter lie angle, my hands are going to go this way, my club head's going to go that way, and it's going to look like this.
So
right?
crazy.
Which is what you can sometimes see your transition looking like.
Very much.
Problem is from there, you go, if you're not such a good player, you're a beginner or you're not a very good athlete, you're just going to stay there. And you're just going to chop over everything. If you don't know what you need to do to correct it. The better player or the better athlete is typically going to get to here and go, I can't do that. I have to do this force to get to the ball. So my body, I'm going to move my hands this way. So you're going to see over and then back, tilt leg.
It's crazy how like equipment based is like essentially built that in.
Yeah.
100%
of the late compensations, huge swing direction issues, anything like that is caused by what they have to do to get the club on the ball because of the way the club is built. So lie angle, we say lie angle and length is 70% of the fitting. The reality is it's 100%, and once that's done, then you can worry about anything else. Like if I only had to get one part of the fit, I would do that, and I couldn't care about the rest of it. And then I'd almost be putting more weight on the grip size than the shaft.
Really?
Yeah. Grip's going to change on the when we use Spice Grip a lot for acceleration and speed profiles. The grip size will have a bigger spread in the inconsistencies when the variables aren't right for the player than the shaft will. So the worst shaft and the best shaft for a player is still tighter on the profiles than the worst grip and the best grip. Because shaft's going to change the mechanics and the tempo, but not anywhere near as much changing the mechanics as grip does. Because grip's completely changing your literal grip on the club, changing your wrist position on the club, which means you have to release it completely differently to get it to the ball. Whereas shaft, if it's wrong, a better athlete, a better level golfer will just actually start changing their tempo. If you don't change your tempo, then you have to try and do something to save it. But you could keep your swing the same with shaft and just change the tempo to make it work. With grip or with lie angle, you can't keep the swing the same. You have to change the swing. So we see like a good athlete going through shafts on the profiles. They know how to time it. After a couple of shots, they figure out how to make any shaft work, and they're just laying over and over and over, repeating the same profile. Whereas if you give them different grip sizes or lie angles, it doesn't matter how many shots they hit, it's all over the place on the profiles. So yeah, I mean, that's why we test for those 3. Those are the 3 that influence the profiles more than anything else. They make up, in our opinion, 95% of the club. Everything past that's just 5%, like half percenters that isn't changing a huge amount. So things we're looking at when we're doing lie angle, notice how we're not looking at how it's coming through with the ground. because you're going to figure out how to get them all flush with
Right.
3 different swing directions, with 3 different radius, with 3 different strike locations.
Yeah.
So we could look at strike location, heel, toe, so horizontal and vertical, to
Yeah.
find out what the right lie angle needs to be.
Yeah.
You want middle all the time.
Yeah.
We don't want crazy hard on the face. We don't want to be thinning it and topping it. We don't want toes. We don't want heels. We
Yeah.
want to find, obviously, middle to lower on the face and middle strike.
Because do you believe in, the old-fashioned way when they used to chuck the tape on the bottom?
Yeah, with lie boards.
Yeah.
Do I believe it will show you where the club's coming through the ground? Yes. Will it show you why it's doing that? No.
Right, okay,
Right?
yeah.
Because again, I could take a 4-degree upright. We can do the test. We have it here.
Yeah.
Take a 4-degree upright and a 4-degree flat, and you
Yeah.
can hit on a lie board. That's an 8-degree change.
Yeah.
Is it going to say 8 degrees? No. It's going to say maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And if you have time to practice with them, which is called practice,
Yeah.
golfers do that,
Yeah.
you're going to figure out how to make any lie angle present flush to the ground, but you might jack up your swing, jack up your body, and just
Yeah.
hate golf in the meantime.
Yeah.
So getting the lie angle that matches how you're built to swing,
Uh-huh.
the shots you want to hit.
Yeah.
So then when you're practicing with that club, you're actually practicing to get
Benefit.
better.
Yeah. And essentially, like what you were just saying for that chapter before, like you're using equipment that essentially you're just building in that worse habit
hmm
because simply your equipment's not right.
Yeah. There's some great training aids out there, but if
Yeah.
you're strapping them onto yourself with a golf club that's not built to achieve that,
Yeah.
you're gonna, all your practice swings are gonna look perfect. You got the training aids like, oh, look how good my practice swings are. Look at my before and after when I'm not hitting a golf ball. And then when you hit the golf ball, it's like, oh,
Have to do
nothing's
something
changed.
different.
Yeah, it's gone back to what it was. And what we'll find is if a player's grinded with a training aid for a long period of time and nothing's changed because the club wouldn't let them, and they're like, I just can't change it, and then we get the club right for how they're built to move, that 2 or 3 years of grinding with that same training aid will all suddenly come in on one swing, and they'll be like
Mate, the thing is,
I've never been there.
Thinking about it, if I have a training aid that changes my swing,
hmm
I need to get fit again.
Yeah, so there's two routes on that. If you're it depends how you're practicing with the training aid. If it's a
Right.
training aid that doesn't require you to hit golf shots,
Yeah.
and you're just repetition on movement, you're doing mirror work. Mirror is a
Yeah.
training aid. You're doing loads of mirror work, you're trying to improve your move. After enough time in doing that, you will start to do that. But when you go to hit shots, if the club doesn't match that, you can't do that. So we have a choice. We either grind movements
Yeah.
and don't hit shots, we change everything, and then we fit the club to match that. Or we fit the club first,
Yeah.
and then you can't hit golf shots, and you practice
Yeah.
with that club, and in order to hit good shots with that club, you have to start making better swings,
Better.
and then when you've learned to hit it, you're now swinging better, or we do a bit of both. You get fit by a coach who understands your different swing types, where they're trying to get you, that's why your coach has to be involved in the thinking process,
Yeah.
where they're trying to get your movement, what are you built to do in your movement, let's build the club in the most optimal way for how you're built to move and where you're trying to get to,
Yeah.
and now let's do the work to get there with a club that lets you get there. So you've got to do them both. You can't just do one or the other. I mean, there's working. I mean, you've literally hit that shot every time.
Yeah. Hold it. 1.7 yards. I feel like this one could still go right. The other one I don't feel like it could.
hmm So, night and day difference between the two, or both pretty good?
Both pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this one's bad. I'd just say I've still got.
So if it's a clear winner, that's the one. If it could be between two, we're going to meet in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it could be between two?
Yeah. I don't think this one's bad, and I don't think that one, the other one's.
Strike consistency on them both pretty similar.
Yeah. It's weird. I'd say I'm middling that one a little bit more, but maybe.
Because you're more used to being on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, hit that one.
I feel like if I hit that with the 62, I feel like it's still going, you know? How's that? Still on 187. I've hit that so bad.
Again, this is in between the two. When the compensations that are needed to be made aren't as bad, when things go wrong, it doesn't go as wrong. Like, you're not putting the brakes on as much. So a bad shot's still got the same speed. You just haven't. You've made a bad swing, you get a bad result, but you've not made a bad swing to hit a good shot.
Yes, yeah.
Feel like you're in between the two?
Nah, I don't know. This one feels so good.
That's the one that's in between the two.
I mean, it's between 62 and 64, but this just feels insane.
That's because that is in between the two.
Oh.
That's why it feels insane, mate, because it's...
Frank.
No, I told you that I'm going to hit the one in between the two.
You've done me dirty there. I thought this was 64. You've done me there.
Well, it felt more upright than the other one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've done me a kipper. I thought that was 64.
You like that one?
Wow. Yeah, that's nice.
You want to hit the 64 again?
Mate, how many times can you run through this, the line, for a while? Or?
I mean, the reality is, we video your swing straight away and have an idea of where it's going.
Yeah.
But you've got to feel it and experience it. Yeah.
Oh. That, yeah. Like 1 degree is insane, isn't it?
So that
I didn't think 1
shows how
degree
important going through hitting everything is,
Yeah.
but then also shows how important it is that you get your lie angles checked at least every month, because they can start to move.
That's insane. 1 degree is huge, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So I think that one's a tad too upright for you.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah. It was better when we were doing all the testing because
Yeah,
it showed
because that
you
was
needed
the-
to be on the upright side,
Yeah.
but we've got to find out where on the upright side.
Do you feel like this one, I'm probably going to get that hot left one?
If you had to play that one or the flat one, you're going to be better in the long run with that one,
This one.
but it's still not exactly where you need it.
Yeah.
The
63
good
is-
swing with that one
Yeah.
will be a little bit
Upright.
up, and then you will get that one going to left. Now this one over time, you'll start moving the ball in and back, and you'll start getting a
Start
big
hitting
draw
that.
going.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's insane.
But this one won't have to do as much, but it'll still get that little bit more of a draw going.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, if you get this more neutral, a tiniest bit of a draw going with it, which is what you'll start to see with this,
Yeah.
now your driver's going to start going straight. Versus if you hit a chop cut with your irons, you are hitting an absolute banana slice with your driver.
Yeah.
Or you're going, uh-oh. Yeah,
Save me.
it doesn't ever save you though, does it? Cool. Right, that's lie angle sorted. So, not far off,
No.
but wasn't it?
Wow.
So that one with the one before was the left
Just
ball.
Button.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane, man. And
Perfect.
I didn't think it was like, mate. I genuinely thought that lie angle like wasn't that big. Genuinely.
Out of everything, it is the one thing that would change things more than anything.
That's insane. Felt like the right one.
But it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So when we were doing all the profile testing, and we're testing every variable you can throw into a golf club,
Yeah.
and we're looking at if we hit the extremes in both,
Yeah.
that the extremes opposite of what we needed either side,
Yeah.
what's the spread in the profile? Obviously when the variable is right, it's overlaying every time.
Yeah.
When it's not right, it's you have to do compensation. So one time you'll slam the brakes on, shut it, one time you'll decel and open it, you'll do all sorts of things.
Do it, yeah.
So the profiles start going everywhere.
Crazy.
We did that with dozens of components in a club,
Yeah.
and then put them in order of, if you had the extremes in these components,
Yeah.
what was the spread? The extremes in these components, what was the spread?
Yeah.
Lie angle was a spaghetti map. It was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
And then one of the tightest, so out of the three we've got here, where we have lie angle, shaft, and grip,
Yeah.
grip had a bigger spread than shaft did.
It's
because players after 1 or 2 swings just started finding their tempo.
Yeah.
Whereas after with 1 or 2 swings with the wrong size grip, they're still going, I actually don't know what to do. What am I going to do here?
Yeah.
So, like in theory, grip actually holds more weight in a club, more importance than the shaft does. Yeah, but they're both really close. They were very close.
Yeah.
But grip will change swing mechanics more than shaft will. So in my opinion, that makes it more important. So we're going to test shaft next. Reason being is, if we were going to have every single grip on every single shaft, this wall wouldn't even fit all the different variables. So because they are so close together, we can go through shaft testing. And because shaft testing is less about what's going on with like, as much as we think it's all about the ball data, it's not. It's about what matches how you want to put force into a club, the direction you're heading, how you're built to swing, all of those things. And then as a result of that, you'll make better swings and the ball flight will get better. If we use a shaft to force and manipulate ball flight, if you're over hitting it left because you've just gone to a more upright lie angle that you're not used to yet, after practice you would learn to hit it straight, and we try and fix that left ball straight away with shaft by putting you in something higher torque to leave it open longer, all of a sudden you can start flushing it straight. And you're like, oh, this is amazing. And then you're going to go away and figure out how to get the lie angle working, and now you're going to be blocking it miles out to the right. So this here is more about, does it match the force that you want to put into a club and the tempo that you want to have? If it's too light and too soft, you're going to slow everything down to find timing. And then when you're on the course and amped up, and you keep the speeds up, you're going to hit a bad shot. So you have to start making worse swings to hit better golf shots. If we build you a club that is going to let you put more force into it, going to let you swing at a faster tempo, but it's way out of your league, you're going to be gassed out trying to get there and you're never going to get there. So we want to get something that lets you get better, that allows you to put the force into it that you want to put into it. So the way we do this test, it's a very simplified version of this test, and it's a very simple summary of shafts. So it's more complex than this, but it's a very simple way to summarize it. We're going to hit 3 shafts that are all the same weight. We're going to hit 3 shafts that are all at 90 grams. So in theory, they're all around the same flex, but they bend in 3 different places. One of them is stiffer in the tip section, one of them is softer in the tip section, and one of them sits in between the 2. Again, way more to shafts than just that, but you are going to have shafts that are stiffer in the tip, shafts that are softer overall in the tip, and shafts that sit somewhere in between the 2. So we're going to hit those 3 and find out which end of that spectrum that you sit in. And then from there, we'll start going through different weights and flexes within that side, and then test shafts from potentially to other manufacturers to find out, is there any correlations. We're using KBS because KBS offer the widest range in these profiles. You can have heavy and stiff, light and stiff, light and soft, heavy and soft, like it really depends. So. Out of the 3, which one lets you put the force into it you want? Cool. We're gonna, when we think we've got it, we go the other way. So we'll go back to the middle one and then come back. So you make the same swing as the last one, you see how that doesn't catch up. Now slow your tempo down. And then you could get it to catch up. Now what's interesting is that actually sits nearer to the profile that you have been playing with the Axioms, the 105X, but you've been playing it a bit flat, which means you need to find time to square it. So where you've gone softer profile, you just let you slow your tempo down to give you time to square it. Now we've gone more upright, which is nearer to, which is your standard. You don't need to slow your tempo down to get the face square and find strike. So you actually are going to then fit into something that's a little bit more stable in the tip. So that's why it goes hand in hand. This is why we do lie angle first. If a fitting includes lie angle at all, which a lot don't, when it is included, quite often it's at the end of the fit and it's 3 shots on a lie board. The most shots we've hit in this whole fit was lie angle, not 3 shots at the end. If you did that at the end of the fit, and you hit 3 shots on a lie board and we changed it, every single thing we did in the fit before that now had to be different. Because if we did that lie angle at the end, you would have fit into that with what you were in. Then we changed the lie angle to 1 up at the end. If it revealed it correctly, which quite often it doesn't, it would just say, hey, you're good. If it said you needed to go to the 1 degree upright, we changed it to 1 degree upright, and then went away. That shaft now doesn't match that line angle.
That's insane.
And when we do grip, that grip now won't match that either. So it's now you've got potentially 3 things that don't line up, and you're going, well, I thought my club was better, but it was better when I was hitting it, and I've now got worse at golf.
Maybe like a more forgiving head, you'll try a blader head or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're going through the 2 heads and you're like, what head do you like the most? And they might be both standard lie angle.
Yes. So then if that person needed standard lie angle,
Yeah.
they're going to middle the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
So they're going to go, you know what, I can hit more of a player's head,
Yeah.
a forged head. And if you get a player that lie angle wasn't right for,
Yeah.
and then they can't find the middle of it,
Yeah.
which head are they going to be better with? The game improvement head. Turns out if you just get the angle right and you hit the middle of it, you want to have a club that performs well out the middle all the time,
Yeah.
not off the edges, because you're not hitting off the edges.
Whoa. Straight off rip. Just back to the one I had in previously.
One you liked. See how the other one wanted to fall more to the right?
60 foot, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't need to slow your tempo down now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you've been conditioned to having to go, wait for it, oh. Now, if you don't have to slow your tempo down on your irons, what does it now mean with the driver? You can hit the driver further. Cool. Is that the winner?
Yeah, I think so, mate.
Cool. So now we've found the right profile. Now we need to go and find the right weight for you. So we're going to go up and down in weight until we find the right weight. I think that you need to, if anything, be slightly heavier than that weight. If not at that weight, maybe slightly heavier. So I'm going to give you something lighter. So shaft weight, way of explaining it is, I think I've said this to you before, but like dumbbells in the gym.
Yeah.
So if I give you some let's say I give you some 30 kilo dumbbells,
Yeah.
you can put a lot of force into them, you can move them at a good speed. If I give you some 60 kilo dumbbells, you might be able to get them moving, but it's like a battle. Loads of force going into it, absolutely nothing coming out of it. If I give you some 5 kilo dumbbells, you're going to be able to put so much force into it and move them so quick, but they're going to be so unstable. So then you actually start slowing down. So if it's too light, you slow down to find control. If it's too heavy, you slow down because you can't actually move it. If it's right in the middle, you can put a lot of force into it and move it at a good speed.
Yeah.
Shaft is the same thing. If it gets too light, you're going to slow down to find control. You're going to be able to move it faster, but potentially hit it everywhere. And if it gets too heavy, you're going to have to work so hard to put force into it that you might lose stability because of that. And when you do get one good, it still hasn't done anything because it was way too difficult to swing. You've lost distance. So as golfers go, you're on the faster side and you're on the stronger side. Right now, you're absolutely flushing an 80 gram shaft. So what have you got to say to the people who still think they need to be swinging 120, 130 gram steel shafts?
Yeah, they're delusional.
You don't need to.
No.
You don't need to. That's heavy. That's a really, really heavy shaft at that weight. Most people can't put enough force into it to get enough out of it.
Yeah.
You throw in the 125 axioms, that doesn't bend.
That was a brute force, mate. That
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, mate, no, I need 120s. I've always played 120s.
Yeah.
Well, here you go. Here's a graphite 120. How's that feel?
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Brutal.
Yeah. Graphite and steel at the same weight. Graphite won't bend, steel will. Cool.
Having a AVODA toe bag.
I can't use a muscle cavity. I need a game improvement club. You need a fitting.
Mate, my dad, he was like, I'm using the forearm everywhere. And like, you look at the forearm, it's like, oh my God, just flushing it.
Yeah. Is he getting on good with them?
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Felt like I could speed up there.
It's because it was a bit heavier. So we went lighter.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like you could put as much force into it,
No.
but you were still pretty good with it. We went back heavier. You could put more force into it. Go further as well.
So good.
Awesome. Cool.
Got quite high out the face on that.
Look at that landing, look. 0. High on the face, I only lost a couple of yards.
That's weird, mate. Like, I know this is heavier, but now that the lie angle is right and I can attack it more, swing more free, like, I feel like I could, you know, it's definitely something I could use again.
Heavier in a way that you don't feel like you could put enough force into it, or heavier in a way that it feels like you can now actually put the force into it you want to?
It's definitely like I'm aware that it's heavier, and I think I'm just mentally, I know I've got to do a bit more.
Yeah.
But
long term, do you feel like that's going to tire you out or actually let you move faster?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, hard to tell, I guess. Maybe over time, like you say.
From a strength and conditioning point of view,
Yeah,
move
now
heavier weight, eventually you'll be able to move it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say you're hitting this freaking great. I mean, every single shot's right around that mid-180s on it.
Yeah.
You've not got any crazy newts, but you've also not hit any that are crazy
That
short.
just jumped, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the problem you'll see with like maybe a lighter shaft?
Not, I mean, it's all relative,
Right.
because light for a crazy, strong, fast player would be 100 grams. Light for a not so strong, not so fast player would be 60 grams, so it's all relative. So light as a whole, no, lighter than what you need, yeah, you're going to slow down.
Yeah. Mate, that feels heavy.
It's 110 grams, mate.
That feels heavier
Yeah.
than the...
It's super stiff for 110 grams.
What? That feels nuts.
Mm-hmm. Feel like you're back at your axiom again.
Oh
at your 125. And that's the thing, we hear like, oh no, graphite's for slower, weaker players, it's for ladies and juniors and seniors. Why was that, and is that still the case?
I don't know.
Because graphite's lighter, which means if I made a steel shaft at 50 grams and a graphite shaft at 50 grams, which one's going to have thicker walls?
The graphite.
The graphite,
Yeah.
which means it's going to be more stable.
Yeah.
The steel will break.
Yeah.
It'd be like a toothpick. You could literally break. You could just do that and break it. You ain't going to do that with this.
The graphite. Yeah.
So what it allowed companies to do is make shafts, and that's why in our woods you're playing a 60-gram shaft that doesn't break.
Stiff. Yeah.
If you played it in steel, you'd have to play it heavier in a wood to get it to not break at the speed it's swinging at. So you allowed manufacturers to make stuff lighter and still stiff.
Yeah.
So then it's like, great, we can use that for juniors, seniors, and ladies as well to get lighter shafts that they can still swing. It doesn't mean they're soft.
No.
It just means they're not going to break.
Yeah.
But if you think about that, if you take 120-gram graphite and 120-gram steel, which one is going to be stiffer?
The graphite.
Graphite, because it's thicker.
Yeah.
It's going to be way more stable. So this is where the steel graphite conversation comes in. If you have a steel shaft at 120 grams, it requires 120 grams worth of force to put into it to move it,
Yeah.
right? The graphite at that same weight requires the same amount of force because it's still 120 grams.
Right.
However, which one of those is more stable at that force? The graphite.
Graphite. Yeah.
So if you put the force into that steel to swing it at the speed, put the force into it you need to move that weight, it's not as stable at that force.
That force. Yeah.
The graphite is, so then with the steel you have to slow down to find stability, but now you've got something that's too heavy for the speed you swing it at to find stability.
Yeah.
So there's this big separation between force required and stability in the shaft, versus in a graphite option, the force required stays the same,
Yeah.
the stability you get out of it is way higher. That's
Right.
why we're using it in woods.
Yeah.
So, and then what it means now is because you can get it way stiffer at a way lighter weight, players can now play shafts that are actually closer to the weight they need to be playing instead of something that's way out of their league just because it's the only thing that's going to be stiff enough.
What about feel-wise? Do you still feel like you get the the feel and response off of it.
If you like the feel of hitting the middle of the face and not missing golf shots, yes, it feels great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it's still
so
like
the feel conversation,
yeah.
out of these, you can change the feel in graphite way more than you can in steel because it's so much lighter. You can now choose where you put the material, which changes. You have more profile options in graphite.
Yeah.
We can get it bending in way more extreme places than you can in a steel. So now we have way more custom fitting options to suit the 3 major different swing types, and the speed of that player, and the tempo of that player, and the force of that player, and the shot they want to hit.
So steel, is there just one option, really?
I mean, it's linear.
Right.
It's far more linear.
Okay.
Softer is going to be lighter, and stiffer is going to be heavier. Whereas graphite, that ain't the case. You could have soft and stiff, and then you could, soft and stiff. You could have soft and stiff. Soft here, stiff here.
Yeah.
Right? You could have soft and heavy,
Yeah.
or stiff and heavy. You have soft and light, stiff and light.
Right. That's interesting.
So you can move it around.
Yeah. So what are we in? We're in this one.
This is pushing it up.
This is the boarding shaft.
It's the body. Imagine that at 120.
I wouldn't want it, I don't think.
Cool. So you can move this.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's going to be a bit too much work on the back 9?
I do.
Yeah.
Just feel like that's a bit too brute.
Yeah. You didn't lose any distance with it, but
No.
my concern would be by the end of a round, or at the end of a practice session, or even at the end of a warm-up before a round,
Yeah.
you're gassed out already.
Yeah.
That's that crazy heavy dumbbell part. Loads of stability in it.
Yeah.
That's because you couldn't move it.
Right.
Gonna go straight. Feel good?
Yeah, really good.
Better than the one before?
Yeah.
Cool. Right, when we think we found it, move the other way still.
Go back.
So that's again down in weight again. Looked like you wanted to move faster than the club. You were already through, and they're like, hold on a minute, let me bring this one with me. Nice. Versus the heavy club, you're like putting so much effort to get it to move that you're like actually playing catch up,
Yeah, playing
With
catch
it.
up with it. Yeah.
and it's pulling you over in the follow through. So that's the 90. The one before was 100. Which did you prefer out of the two?
Probably 100.
On Honda. So I mean, I had the other week. I changed my club site.
Every day.
The reason why we have what we have is because I'm not afraid to mess around and figure out things. So I thought, you know what will be fun? I'm going to go short, upright, and then I'm going to like crazy short and upright.
Right.
And then I'm going to go crazy light so I can still get distance out of it. I went down to the 90, 95, and I started hitting it 20 yards further than I needed to.
Oh, way.
It's so far.
And spin still good?
Yeah, I mean, it's spinning like crazy. There's so much speed in it. Problem is, I just started feeling like, man, I'm going to lose control of this one.
Yeah, really.
So I went back up in it, weight again, but
That's where, like I was saying to you, with drivers, they're like a happy medium. But then, is driver a club that you're putting in the bag to go as far as possible when you've got space to use
it's
it?
got to go in play.
Yeah.
But yes, it's also got to go as far as possible.
Yeah.
If
And
I
if
want
it-
something that goes in play and still kind of far, I will go to a stronger 3-wood.
Yeah.
It's
Or
going to
on
go
a boat
straighter.
trail.
Or on a voted 3 iron, yeah, which no one else can get anymore.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that the shaft that's in your woods matches in with the profile of the irons.
Okay.
Ratio of irons to drivers hit in a driver fitting, providing the irons are set up correctly, or just actually whatever your irons are at. Ratio of irons hit to driver in a driver fitting should be 2 irons to 1 driver,
Wow.
right? Because the driver is a result of the swing you had to make with your irons. If you go for a driver fitting and all you hit is driver, you're going to fit into something. Chances of that matching your irons, pretty slim.
How many times do you go for driving fit and not even hit?
Not even hit an iron, yeah. Or warm up, ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready to go. So when we fit for woods, one, we're matching the profile of the shaft in with the irons,
With the
so you
irons.
can keep that through.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it from that point is just going to be more around getting the launch and spin dialed in for the shot you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
All right, so we go to hit 2 irons, now hit a driver. And thank Mike Shy for that one.
Yeah.
That's what he says to do, and we run that, and it works way better because when you're hitting loads and loads of drivers, you fit in and you think you've dialed in the driver, and you go to irons and hit your irons like crap, and then you get your irons going good again. You just bought your new driver,
Combo we had, yeah.
and now you go and hit your driver, and you're like, what? That wasn't what I was hitting in the fitting. And it's like, no, you're right. It wasn't what you were hitting in the fitting because you weren't hitting your irons in the fitting.
No.
So 2 irons, 1 driver. What happened on that 1 drive?
Yeah.
2 irons, 1 driver. What happened on that 1 drive?
Yeah.
Not hours and hours of driver, and then go back and play and hope that it lines up.
It lines up, yeah.
Yeah. Bryson, it was the opposite. He knew his driver was dialed in, and he was hitting his driver exactly how he wanted to. He needed irons that let him do that. So for him, it was actually the other way around. It was 2 to 1 on the other way. So hit 2 drivers, get it right.
Yeah.
Hit a few drivers, get the driver swing, get it how you want it,
Yeah.
and then let's make sure the iron works with that.
Matches it up.
Yeah, because when he got his driver working really good, the irons he had didn't work. And that's why we ended up building him irons, to make sure that something matched up with his driver.
Yeah.
So then when he's hitting his driver really good, he's then not fighting his irons.
Yeah.
And then when he figures out his irons, he's not hitting his driver bad. And then
That's
6th, 2nd, US Open.
Cheers
So
for
the
coming.
evidence is there that you should hit both irons and drivers when you're doing driver
Doing the
testing.
fit, yeah.
But for us, it's let's get these irons dialed in to how you're built to swing, give you something that you can long-term improve with, and then once you get that going, then we'll go through and test whether the driver still lines up with it.
Yeah.
Going high as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Be interesting
You know
to
what
see
your peak
spin-
height usually is?
Sorry?
You know what your peak height usually is on
Not
the
really.
seven?
I know spin.
I mean, spin's always relative to conditions you're testing in.
Yeah.
Peak height,
I mean, that's high, isn't it?
yeah. But don't you say you usually hit it too low?
Whoa.
So in a fit, if you figure out how to strike everything,
Yeah.
what will go further, the flatter lie or the more upright lie? If you're striking it all equally because you're a good player and you can figure it out,
A flat one?
yeah, because you have to
Really?
shut
Yeah,
it down to
shut
square it.
Yeah.
So if you're looking and doing lie angle testing based off of the launch and the spin and how far it's going, and you want it like, oh, I want to hit the one the furthest,
Yeah.
we can use a flat lie to fake distance.
Yeah, just boost it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's why we're removing that part out of it when we're doing the lie fitting. It's around how you consistent your ball
Change
striking
lofts
is.
with lie angle, or not really.
When you're,
In terms of like, say someone's 4 right,
yeah,
someone's 4 flat.
mhm.
Are the loft on the club?
No, you keep it the same because
They're
they're
the
both,
same?
yeah, because if they're fit correctly, both of them are presenting that how they're built to
They
present
should
it, so the
present-
loft is going to be good.
Ah, okay.
And
yeah,
also,
yeah,
we
I
don't
see
like
what
doing stuff through loft. We get a lot of requests, people going, can I go stronger, can I go weaker? It's like, no, well you can, but why? You're just, all you're doing when you're changing loft is just moving the problem further down. It's not
Right.
changing anything.
Yeah.
If we have launch and spin issues and gapping issues,
Yeah.
we might not have consistent enough ball striking.
Yeah.
You might not have a shaft that lines up with the force you want to put into it, but there's a strong chance you've got, like if we use same length versus combo length as an example, we'll do a test in a minute. If you hit a same length 4 iron and you don't have enough speed, launch and spin to hit that, it's going to come out really flat,
Right.
and it's therefore not going to carry as far.
No.
Both at the same lie, both at the same loft, both at the same lie, 19 degrees, let's say loft, both at the same lie, and you hit the longer, lighter one, the longer, lighter one's going to go up with more spin and more speed. The ball speed might not be up, but there's more club head speed, so there's more launch and more spin, longer radius.
Yeah.
That's now going to carry further. So 2 clubs at the same loft, they're going to have about 20 yards difference between the 2 of them.
Right, yeah.
So if I wanted to get the same, this is right, it's really important to understand this point of why just going stronger isn't always going to solve the problem, and very rarely does. Which out of those 2, which one went shorter? The same length one went shorter,
Yeah.
right? Both 19 degrees. The same length didn't carry as far because it came out lower with less spin.
Yeah.
Couldn't carry as far. If I want it to carry further, I want a stronger loft or a weaker loft on that head.
Yeah.
You'd actually want weaker to get the launch and spin up. But at that point, you've now just turned your 4 iron into a 5 iron in the same length sets. You might as well take the 4 iron out and just use the 5 iron.
Yeah. Wow.
And if we went stronger to try and get it to go further, it's going to get the spin down, the launch down. It's actually going to carry shorter.
Right.
So changing loft as much as you can influence distance, you start messing up other stuff as well. When you change length and head weight, you don't have to change the loft. So you can keep gapping good.
Yeah.
You have to mess around with it.
Yeah, that's insane.
There you go. Take me back. Like, I'm going to give you the story, like why this came around to this point.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what you asked a question before I got to that point that was really good.
About
Around
when I was throwing it.
Okay, so around the swing coaching side of things, you've been trying to do a certain thing with your swing, and if you did it, it would create a bad outcome. So, and it's like, but is the intention of what you're trying to do with the swing wrong? No, it would be better,
Right.
providing your clubs were set up to let you do that.
Yes.
With the way your clubs were set up and you did it, you would hit the ball a mile left.
Yeah.
So here's the problem. You had a lie angle that was too flat for you. So that is sitting down lower. That pushes the radius out. Like we said earlier, I think you got it earlier as well, right? If you've got to get the club back down to that lie angle, the hands have got to get back down to here, but the club head has got to get out to the club, out to the ball. So if you're playing a lie angle that's too flat for you, yes, everything is going to throw more over, which is why your whole life you've always seen yourself tipping it over in the downswing. And then you're like, I'm over, I've got to tilt back late. So if my swing direction and everything is moving over and left, am I going to want to release on a left swing direction? No, it's left going left. So everything's always going to be this like chicken wing kind of hold off move, right? How many times have you been told you've got to stop doing that with your arm? You've got to stop doing this. You had no choice. That's the only thing you could do to control where you were exiting. And if you released on it, you were screwed. If we now get you in a place where the lie angle is right for you and it matches your radius, when you transition, that club can move down plane, zeroed out, and get to the ball. You don't have any pivot changes. You don't have any crazy swing direction issues, which now means you can release because you're not worried about being way left or way right. If it's too upright, radius is going to come in. Entry point's going to get in way early. Low point's way underground. Everything now is stand up, make space, no turn. Swing direction into out, entry point early, ball goes back, swing direction goes more right. So, and we laughed at that. Yeah, it would create a huge into out swing direction. However, if you want to draw a driver and you're going to hit up on a driver, where do you have to swing? If you want to draw a driver, you need path into out. Let's say you're going to have it 4 into out, and you hit 4 up. You've got to move path another 4 right.
To actually draw.
Or swing direction another 4 right to be able to hit 4 up and still have a 4 path. If you now swing in 8 right on a driver and you now hit an iron and you hit 8 down on an iron, that path's going 4 right even further. So now you're 12 right with an iron. Who do we know who's really good at drawing a driver and swings way into out on an iron?
Big dog.
Big dog. Right? And why does it look like he aims left on everything and looks like he's hitting a big push? He's not. He just has an into-out swing direction because he is so good with his driver. And that's what it creates with his irons. And he's realised if I'm that good with my driver and I'm hitting wedges in everywhere, I can find a way to make that work. So we can use the club. And why is he play unbelievably upright clubs, which in theory are more upright than what he needs it to be for zeroed out swing. It's to allow him to bring his radius in, move his ball back, and let him have a right swing direction. So when he gets to his iron, his driver, he has a right swing direction. If he went back to what would be a optimal lie angle for him to be zeroed out, and he went to a driver, he ain't hitting draws with his driver anymore. He's going to be fading his driver, and he doesn't want that. He doesn't hit it like that. Steep plane player is going to have a higher spin loft, typically. It's going to be higher with more speed and more spin. If you're hitting it higher with more speed and more spin, what's going to help bring that down and controlled? A fade or a draw? A draw. Why does he draw a driver? Because it actually lets him optimise his spin loft.
Does he have to as well? Like, if he faded driver, it'd be
You'd have to have about 1 degree of loft on it. There's not many people that make it. I mean, crank do a 4, you can take that down to 2 degrees. You know, you could do that. The problem is then when you go to the irons, he's optimised the driver, but he's still got launch and spin with an iron. So if he's fading or hitting it neutral, it's not even as much about the driver, it is about the irons. It's going to be ballooning them out of control. So he has to move to a draw pattern to optimise it. That's why typically steeper plane players are the fastest players because they can put more vertical force in. They are the higher ball hitters. They do hit more spin. And as a result of that, speed, launch and spin, draw is more optimal. So if you look at the steeper plane players on tour, they hit draws. And when they try and hit fades, they struggle. But they're comfortable hitting fades. And if they're not able to hit draws, it's because the clubs aren't set up to let them. They're built to, they want to, the clubs don't let them. So then they go and fade it, and now the ball flight is all over the place. So there's lining it up. But if I have a steep plane player who hasn't got much speed, might not want to push them onto the upright side as much because now they are going to bring the spin loft down and now they can't get it in the air.
Yeah.
So this, the whole point here, you were trying to do something with your swing that was not wrong.
No.
You couldn't make it happen with the way your clubs were set up.
Yeah.
Right, so this is the full circle I did with coaching. Where's an optimal place to set up? This idea of this biomechanics zero line that's in the middle of everything. If we can get everyone to this optimal, there's 3 versions of optimal. There's 3 different setup types because there's 3 different swing types, which means there's 3 different fit types. Right? So it's not just like, here's where optimal is, let's get everyone there.
Yeah.
It's, how are you built to swing?
Right.
What setup do you need to be in? And when I realize there's different setups, I'm like, cool, great, we can work on this. I can get these players in the setup that they have the best chance to move their swing.
Yeah.
Problem was, if the club didn't look right in that setup, they couldn't do that setup, and they'd move the setup to make the club look right.
To match it, yeah.
So then it's about build the club to match the swing type through the ball, which means they'll actually have a club that looks right to them at setup, so they'll be setting up where they're planning to come back to, and now they have less effort, less things to do in the swing.
Yeah, just swing.
So that's why for me now, from a coaching point of view, it's about building the club to get the player in the most optimal place for them to move, and then fine-tune stuff from there.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do.
And as well, like from a coach's perspective, a coach that's just like meeting a player for the first time, would you now be like more inclined to find out all of the equipment details?
It should be the prerequisite, so it's the foundation of everything. So, like, we believe that 100% of coaches on the planet should have a system for identifying if the player is at bare minimum got the right lie angle for their swing type, which means understanding the swing types and understanding what works with that. If we can then match shaft profile to their speed, their tempo, their swing type, and their overall force, now they're not trying to adjust their natural forces to find contact. Now they can be a bit more confident. And if we can get grip size to match their hand size, so their grip's not in a weird place, and grip size to match their release type, so that the face is more stable, now they've got a club that is built to make them better at golf, and you've just made that player better before you've even started working with them. And now what's left, after you've got all that taken care of, is just getting them to move like an athlete. So I love movement-based stuff at that point, and then also teaching them how to play golf, performance practice, instead of every training aid under the sun. And I've got them all, and I've used them all, and I've strapped them all to me, but if the club doesn't let you do it, 6 months of a training aid ain't going to do shit. It's not going to change anything. So get the clubs right. Now you can actually focus on being an athlete, freeing yourself up, thinking about swing less, and performance. Go get good with your wedges now instead of figuring out how to hit a golf ball.
Numbers,
Literally. So when the clubs are right, how much time do you need to spend warming up and trying to figure out how to hit a golf ball?
I mean, we've just been chatting about now.
You can jump on the tee.
Yeah, straight out.
Your range sessions are less about figuring out how to find the ball, more about performance, dialing in your numbers.
Yeah.
You hit it. You hit it and you go, wow, the ball speed's really high because it's a heavy head, and you go, actually, you know what? You're getting it to carry it a good distance, but it's a flat flight with not much spin.
Yes.
Could you hold a green with it?
No.
Probably not. At the distance you're carrying it, are you going to be needing to hold greens? Yes. Bryson, the distance he carries it, it's a driving line. So he's not hitting it into greens at 260.
Yeah.
He's hitting it off the tee, and he's now got a really good in-play club. So if you're at that speed where it's that length and headway is right for you, then it's a great advantage, a huge advantage to be doing it. But if you're not, you're creating problems for yourself. So that's where the combo length comes in. And then you look at the launch difference.
Yeah, that's a much better flight, isn't it?
Carrying 10 yards further as well. So because the launch and spin's gone up, even though the ball speed's going to be going almost down because it's lighter, even though you're swinging it faster, it's lighter. So smash is going to be lower. Smash is going to be way higher on this, so the potential for the ball speed is to be higher.
Right.
But if you get ball speed up through a higher smash, you're not getting the spin's actually going to come down.
Right, okay, yeah.
So we want to get ball speed up through more club head speed so the spin can stay up. More club head speed is a longer, lighter club.
When I first got my set,
You had the tour spec.
so this forearm will be shorter
Yes.
than what you are now.
Yes.
Ah.
So using a utility head obviously helps get it up a little bit, give it a bit more ball speed, but the spin's still not going to be there on those. Versus if you went to this head, longer and lighter, you'd get more spin.
Wow. That's a 4-iron flight, isn't it?
That's not your grip or shaft or lie angle. There's your 230.
Cheers for coming.
You're welcome, mate. Tiniest bit flat versus what you're going to be having. Still 230 though, you'll miss it. Versus same length. Again, you struck this great.
Yeah.
It's easier to hit good because it's shorter. The ball speed's solid. Smash is good. But if you see the launch, a lot flatter. You can still get it out there though. So it's still 210 carry.
Yeah.
But watch how much it then shoots from there. Now look at the height difference.
Different golf shot.
Yeah.
Entirely, isn't it?
There you go. So this is going further with higher, further with more spin.
Yeah.
It's more playable.
Yeah.
So
You need from a 4-iron really. Isn't
really good one with this, you're getting 220.
Yeah.
Your not so good ones with this a moment ago, you're up at almost 230 still. So again, you're a higher speed player who is now going to have a slightly higher ball flight, and you're still on the fence for a full same length set.
Yeah.
So combo length set would definitely perform more optimal for you. The other test then is how do you feel with a 7-iron length wedge? Because if you're on the fence, let's say we're like, you know what, you take your pick.
Yeah.
That's going to be determined by how you feel with the wedges.
Do you get guys that just turn around and say like, that feels horrific or not?
With the same length one?
With the same length long wedge?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, neither
that
me
point-
or you are on the taller side, so the longer the scoring club gets, for us, it might feel more uncomfortable. You could grip down on it.
Yeah.
There's advantages to it. You can hold the end of the grip for full swing shots and hit it really high with loads of spin, and then around the greens grip down, toe down, and be good with it. So there's more options. But again, this is what we're doing differently. Test it.
Yeah.
Find out, you know. The specs aren't going to change for what your lie length and your lie shaft and grip needed to be. The head weight part
They
is
must
important.
spin crazy.
The same length ones, unbelievable that spin. That's a big advantage of it.
Yeah.
So we'll start you with the same length wedge.
So I spoke to you about getting my wedges back to normal lengths, and like I keep playing with people with normal length wedges, and I'm just like, don't think I want that.
It's the head weight.
Yeah.
Swing weight will balance in the same, but the head weight
Am I
being
getting this
higher.
full 60-yarder?
Well, just hit some shots. Hit some shots. See how it feels to hit the different shots you would hit with a lob wedge.
High.
Yep. So it's going to go higher because it's longer and lighter.
I hate my wedges. They come out really high with loads of spin.
Oh no, sorry about that.
I can now hold any green I want to. Sorry, mate.
Smash drops down, speed picks up. More spin. And do you remember we did these to 1, I think, didn't we? Because you said you wanted them at 1. Didn't you have it on at 2 at one point?
Yeah.
You changed it recently.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was last time I saw Nick when I put the 105s in. I think we went that spinning its tips.
This feels so good.
Yeah. How many balls did it hit on this thing today? 483.
Yesterday was even more than that.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like 500 and something, 600.